Hello and welcome to A Cat in the Garden. It's that time of the month again and we are going to show you my garden. It is about mid-September right now. The weather has finally dropped. It was nice and cloudy this morning and Nutmeg is just ready to go. So I guess we're gonna go show you the garden. First up is the seedling table. This is Nutmeg's favorite part of the garden, his favorite place to hang out in the morning when I'm watering the plants. And of course we have some seedlings. Not too many right now. I'm gonna get more planted soon since the weather has recently dropped. But I've got some really nice fall tomatoes. Fall is actually the perfect time to grow tomatoes here in Texas. I have some blue borage here. These seedlings are super cute. I really enjoy them. I have an orchid cream nasturtium, which is a new nasturtium to me, but it's supposed to be really nice color. One of my peppers sprouted. This is an ahi rico. This was a seed I got from my mom from her garden. And then I just actually planted these a couple days ago, so I'm really surprised to see one sprouted. This is a Shanghai green bok choy. This one's from Baker Creek Seeds. I also planted the tatsoi, the dwarf one that I grew last year here. So hopefully that will also sprout soon. So that is my little seed starting station. Like I said, we're gonna get more started soon. Over here I have my sesame, which is off the charts. These are all of the little pods that are growing sesame seeds. They also have the most beautiful little flowers. I've noticed the bumblebees really seem to like them. And my other two plants that I planted midsummer are doing a lot better as well. This one has really taken off. And this one's just starting to. It's been a little bit of a late bloomer, but that's okay. I also have a cover crop selection in here. Don't really know what everything is, but it seems to be doing all right. As well as my coral vinca that I bought pretty recently. Over here is also more cover crops. If you remember, these two beds were not doing very well. So hopefully the cover crops will help take care of that situation. This bed over here is a bit overgrown. This is my pepper bed, but of course there is a bunch of milkweed growing throughout it. Since the weather just dropped, we are just starting to get some really nice peppers in here. Here is my first mucho nacho jalapeno. I also have some Tabasco peppers in here. There we go, just focused. So I have those. Here, I think this is a gypsy, if I can find one. Here's one. There's another bigger one in here somewhere. My paprika has been going strong all summer. As you can see, here's one that's starting to turn color. I've got a bunch more in here. And then finally, my serranos are producing again. So here's a little one there. The chives are doing really well. The sweet alyssum surprisingly is doing well. The shishitos also just started producing again. They're looking great. The marigold at the edge of this bed did really well. These are all shishitos. I think I saw a couple starting to produce in here. I did have one of my chivescapes flower. It's kind of at the end of flowering now, but hopefully it will go to seed. Next to it over here is my blackberry bed, and there's not too much to report as far as the blackberries go. Their season was in June. They've been growing really steadily. Some nice new bright green growth. I've got some pink salvia back there and some hyssop. The only thing really to report on would be my variegated bell peppers, and they are doing really well. Since the weather dropped, they started producing, and all of the peppers look really nice and healthy. This one doesn't have any yet, but this one has several, and that one is just about to flower. So that's kind of the only thing to report there. Over here, the herb bed is looking about the same. I'm gonna plant my saffron in here really soon, but other than that, I just need to pull up my parsley because it's officially dead, and I need to kind of trim the rest of the flowers off of this oregano. As you can see where I trimmed all of the flowers, there's a ton of new growth, and these are just about done blooming for the season, so it's kind of safe to just trim them all now. Behind me over here is supposed to be my asparagus bed, but as you can see, the basil has completely taken over. This thing is probably my largest basil plant here. It's just kind of massive. I don't really know what else to say about that. The asparagus is doing really well. I'm kind of letting it grow out, and next year it should be thick enough that I can harvest them. The Swiss chard is looking really good given the fact that it is a brassica. I have not been harvesting it all summer, just kind of trimming the dead leaves because it does taste better in the winter. I also have a couple of pepper plants right here. It was supposed to be a purple bell pepper, and one of the plants is definitely a bell pepper. The other one looks to be some sort of banana. I don't really know why. They were both in the same pot, but that's just kind of what happened there. Here for the artichokes, I did chop them back a few weeks ago, but they are growing back with a vengeance. And over here, my lemongrass is doing really well. Both plants kind of combined into one. I am gonna focus this fall on planting some more herbs in here. The tarragon is making a nice comeback after almost dying on me. I've got a little fennel over there as well as an oregano. So I just kind of wanna fill this out with more ground cover type herbs to kind of shade out this area. Over here, the beans are doing so well. These soybeans are producing, they're looking really good. And the bush beans are starting to flower. I don't think I see any actual beans yet. And then of course, these carrots that I let go to seed are dropping all of their seed, and I just have free carrots everywhere, as well as some big ones here, some scallions, which are looking ready to harvest. They are absolutely huge. And then I also have a couple of acorn squash that are growing really happily here. There's not much to report on my strawberry and kale bed. Again, like the Swiss chard, I'm not really harvesting this until the winter when it gets a better taste to it. Same with this starburst kale here. The strawberries are looking a little beat up, but I'm hoping with the drop in the weather, they'll recover and be ready for the spring. Next, I have my tomatoes. I did just harvest a few this morning, and of course I do have basil growing in here with them. This is kind of a modified string trellis and Florida weave combo that I have, but the tomatoes are still going really strong even with all of the heat that we had this summer. I have a bunch that are starting to ripen up there, which is really nice. And of course, my little garden spider, I've made him so fat and happy feeding him squash bugs all summer. I do need to go ahead and trim a lot of the dead leaves off of these tomatoes, but other than that, they look pretty good. I've got some other companion plants down here like leeks, I've got a vinca, and I've got a couple marigolds here as well. Kind of a similar situation for the tomatoes here. This yarrow I really need to move this winter, but I do have some more leeks, another big basil, leeks here, and a really cute purple sweet alyssum. I love the colors on this one. I had to buy it as soon as I saw there was a purple one. I did also start planting some fall tomatoes back here. These are all cherry tomatoes, so I have one here, and then this one's actually producing. This is my sun sugar. Here's one that's ripening up, and I believe I have a few down here as well. Yeah. So this one I did plant a little bit earlier than the other two. I just wanted to have a bit of staggered growth and see what would happen. I did plant this one in like the middle of June or July, which is not the best idea, but it ended up working. These I planted last month in August, and this one is a little bit farther behind because it's had the full sun and the full heat, while this one had some shade protection from the basil. Lastly, over here is my slicing tomato bed. I did just harvest a really nice slicer, one of my terracotta tomatoes, but it's growing more. So I have one here, and then I have a bigger one back there. This bed really struggled all season because I got the tomatoes in the ground really late when it was already hot. So they're just now starting to produce, which is fine with me. Next year, I'll just have to get them into the ground sooner. But other than that, they're doing pretty well right now. Over here is my sweet potato bed. If you remember, this was the onions earlier in the spring and the summer, but once I got them out of here, I didn't really know what to do with this bed. So I planted sweet potatoes for the first time, and they have been doing so well. As you can see right here, I actually do have sweet potatoes. I'm gonna wait until closer to our first frost to harvest them, but they've been doing really well given all of the heat that we've had. Over here, I'm trying an experiment that I did talk about before, and that is trying to keep squash vine borers away from my zucchini, because I only got 2 zucchini and 2 straight neck squash this entire summer. This was my tomatillo bed, and they were kind of done. They don't really withstand triple-digit temperatures for too long, so I decided to rip them all up. I kept the rosemary, kept the marigolds, kept the basil, and put in a few seedlings that I started of 2 straight neck squash here and 2 zucchini here. They've been doing really well so far, really happy. This shade cloth is doubling as insect netting, and I just kind of clamped it down so that the bugs can't get inside. Over here is my cucumber bed, and I did rip up all of the beautiful cucumbers that had been growing up here because they were just kind of tired from the heat. I do have 1 tomatillo left here just in case something happens with it, but I really don't expect it to do anything. And I started new cucumbers. So these are ones that I started in late July, early August, and these are ones I started at the end of August, though this one kind of got a little beat up by the hose this morning. I have 2 more that are really happy in here, so that's fine. I have more plants than I need, so if one doesn't make it, I'm not really concerned. I also have these beautiful purple vincas and a bunch more carrots that I'm pretty sure are ready to harvest. They're looking pretty thick in there, but I'll get to them soon. Over here is my watermelon bed, and it's been doing really, really well with the drop in the weather. I have watermelons growing absolutely everywhere. This one I think is a red watermelon, and I'd be really excited if it was. I also have another one up here that I believe is a red watermelon, and I have 2 really big ones that are close to being ready here. I'm pretty sure they're both orange. So I have this one that's actually kind of hanging here, and one over here that is sitting on the ground. So I kind of gave it a saucer so that it wouldn't rot on the ground, but they're looking pretty good. Decent size, kind of similar to what I've been getting all summer, but I'm very excited to have multiple growing at once. Also looks like I have a little one here, which is pretty cool, and they'll just kind of keep popping up throughout the fall until the weather gets pretty cold. Over here is my green bean bed. So one of my plants here is done, one of my noodle bean plants, but that's okay. That was one of the first ones I had planted. I have several successions of the noodle beans here, and they are doing really well. As you can see, these will be ready in just a day or 2. And if you want to save them for seed, just let them get a little bit overripe, but these will be ready to eat soon. And I have more of the soybeans in here. This is one of them more recent plantings, just starting to flower and develop pods in there. This one is about to flower. And then the bush beans are actually recovering and starting to give me little beans, which is nice. And they have the cutest little flowers. They're super tiny. The savory has been really overgrown here, but the bees absolutely love it. They're buzzing around. Same with the milkweed. They have a really good time on the milkweed there. I don't know if you can see that over there, but that's a bunch of soybeans that are just ready to harvest, so I gotta eat those soon. Over here is my pumpkin bed. Not too much to report here, mostly male flowers, but the bees really love it, so I can't really bring myself to take it apart. I did harvest 1 pumpkin from it. I'm hoping maybe I can get 1 or 2 more, but if it doesn't really produce too much, I might not grow pumpkins next year because this is a lot of space in my garden for only 1 pumpkin. I also have dill here, which I am saving seeds from. Dill seed is a popular spice. I can also just use it to grow more dill next year. And I think I missed something over here. Oh my gosh, he's back. So I don't know if you can see him, but that's my monarch. The first monarch I've seen all season. He's been hanging around my garden in the mornings. He comes by. Wow, he is gorgeous. He lets me get a little bit closer than he did at first, but still not super close. I think given some time, he'll let me get a lot closer. But anyway, the last bed I wanted to show off is my cayenne pepper bed. And this is probably one of the prettiest beds from afar in my entire garden because I only planted 2 marigold plants in here, and they absolutely took over this beautiful ground cover. I also have a couple of volunteer milkweed growing here, a little bit behind, but they really don't seem to mind the heat at all. And then scattered throughout are a bunch of cayennes. Over here, this one's doing really well. There's a bunch of cayennes, some are turning red, little ones just starting to form. Here's a bunch of longer ones right here that are doing really well. These look really pretty. That's kind of what I want a cayenne to look like. And then I have some in here that are also turning red. Last but not least is my orchard over here. My peach tree is doing so well. It's loving the change of weather. loving being watered every single day. Hello. She wants to be a part of this. Hi. She follows me everywhere in the garden. But that's doing really well. The lemon tree is also doing really well. We do have some little bit of color on the lemons. It's recovered from a bit of my neglect at the beginning of the summer. The plum is not doing great. I have been watering it more like these other two, but I don't really know why. I'm hoping this fall and winter it'll recover a bit and do better, but we'll just have to see. My bay tree is recovering. It did almost die, but it has come back. And as soon as the weather drops a little bit more, I'm gonna get it in the ground. You do not wanna plant these during the summer. Fall is the best time to plant trees. Spring is second best. So that is a quick update on the orchard. All right, so that is it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed the garden update for the month of September. This actually marks a year since I have had my channel and I've been doing gardening videos and houseplant videos. The first one I did was a September garden tour. So it's kind of crazy to see how much this garden has changed in just a year, how much I've been able to do, and I'm really proud of the progress. This was my first full year of gardening here because I moved here in May of last year. So I'm just really proud of everything that's been happening, and I'm so excited for the fall garden because fall is one of the best times to grow here in Texas. But if you like this video, make sure to give us a thumbs up down below and subscribe so you don't miss anything from me, Nutmeg, and Astra, who's running around out here. Thanks again for watching, and we will catch you in the next one.